guys, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and today I've got another review to share with you guys. And today we're going to be talking about the new Netflix original TV show, Lock and Key. It went up on Netflix almost 2 weeks ago now at the time of recording this. I watched it when it came out initially, but I was a little under the weather then, and so I'm a little late with this review, but I still wanted to put it up and talk to you guys about it. So, originally, Lock and Key was a graphic novel series, or is a graphic novel series. I think there's currently 7 or 8 of them out, written by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. Now, if you've been around this channel for a while, you probably know that I love Joe Hill. I love him. I've read all of his books, but I haven't yet read Lock and Key. I just haven't dived into it yet. And so going into this show, I was very excited because of the Joe Hill connection, but I didn't really know anything about the story. I just see Joe posting about the graphic novels as they'd come out. I know from time to time you can order editions that come with keys, or you can buy the keys on their own. It all looked very intriguing, but like I said, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So I was excited to kind of go in blind to this series and see what it was all about. Now, having read Joe Hill in the past, I was kind of thinking it was, you know, probably going to be a ghost story, and seeing the trailer, there's a big creepy old house, which is my bread and butter. I love big creepy old houses. Nothing makes me happier to see in a show or to read about in a book. So I was already sold. Now, I will say this right off the bat. There's not going to be any spoilers in this review, but I will say, having watched the entire first season, this really plays out as more of a family-friendly show, which is great. I love when there's a good show that you can watch with, you know, your kids around without worrying that they're going to be traumatized. And I feel like this is that, especially if they're older. Like, I have a 15-year-old daughter, and she could 100% watch this. And in fact, I've recommended that she do. Anyway, there are parts where it does go a little darker, but it's still very much family friendly. So I'll tell you a little bit about the story, and then I will tell you my recommendation if I think you should watch it or not, which I think I've already kind of made it clear that you should, but we'll still touch on that in the end. So when the show opens, we're seeing a family, 3 kids, 2 sons and a daughter. One of the sons and the daughter are teenagers, and then there's a little kid. And the little kid actually played Georgie in It, if you saw the first part of that movie, and he's fantastic in this. He's so cute, and he's just adorable, and he's a great little actor. So I liked that. Anyway, these 3 kids and their mom are moving. They lived in Seattle. They're now moving across the country, and they're moving into the big old creepy house that belonged to the newly deceased father of the family. Their father has recently passed away in a very tragic way. Very, very tragic circumstances led up to his death. And now they're moving. They need a fresh start, for one, and there's this big house just kind of waiting for them. So they decide they're gonna go. When they get there, the dad's brother, he's there, and he kind of just doesn't want them to live there. And you get the feeling that it's because, like, for their own good, he doesn't want them to live there. And I remember I kept thinking, like, why doesn't he just tell them why he doesn't want them to live there? Like, lay it out for the mom, you know, tell her why you're feeling so apprehensive, because we're seeing him. We can feel it. No doubt she can feel it, but he's not really telling her why. And we later learn why he's not telling her why, and I won't tell you why, but there's a reason. Anyway, pretty soon, once they move in, they start to get settled. The little boy, he's exploring, and he ends up going out to the well house that's on the property. And he's tiny enough he can fit through the bars of the gate because it's locked up. And so he kind of gets in there, and when he's looking at the well, he starts to hear a voice coming out of it and sort of talking to him, and it's very creepy, and it creeps him out, as it would, and he runs back into the house. And so right off the bat, we're sort of given the feeling that something is very off in this house. There's some sort of entity, there's some sort of energy, there's some sort of spirit. And just based on the setup, the house, the vibes we're getting so far, we know it's probably not a everyday friendly sort of spirit. So from there, we're taken through as this little guy starts to find keys, like literal keys around the house. And when he finds a key and he takes it, he can put it in a lock, really any lock, and whatever that key is for is what will happen. And there are many different keys, and they are all very, very interesting. So the first one he finds, it starts off pretty slow paced because the woman in the well, she told him about these keys, so that's why he's kind of keeping his eye out. And he finds the first one in a bracelet that his sister owns that his father had given to her. And this one is the anywhere key, and we see him explore it, and he finds out that if he turns the lock and wherever he imagines going, when he opens the door, he'll be there. But the sort of caveat for that is you have to have seen it before. It has to be somewhere you know what it looks like. So the first thing he tries is to go to the ice cream shop that they were at earlier on in the episode. And he goes in, and it's very exciting, and he sees how it works. Then he tries to show his sister, and she says, fine, take me to the top of the Eiffel Tower, but she's never been there, so she can't picture it, and it doesn't work. Then there's another one that they find where the door for the key appears in the back of the person who's holding the key's head, or the person you're near when you're holding the key. And when you put the key in, it takes you to a physical manifestation of the inside of their mind. So for the little guy, when he does it at first, it's like a toy box is the manifestation, and then he goes into it, and inside are all these toys and a trampoline, and he's having so much fun. When the teenage sister does it, hers is more like a mall is what it looks like, and there's, you know, some scary creatures in there. And then just for everybody's mind, there's just a manifestation of it. It was so interesting, and I loved the scenes where they'd go inside someone's mind just to see how it looked and how it was all portrayed. And yeah, there's a ton of keys, and they all do things that are so interesting. One allows you to become a ghost. So what happens then is when you use that key, as soon as you open the door, your body drops dead essentially, and your spirit is able to float up, and you can travel like that and see what's going on. And then of course you have to make sure that you're able to get back to your body to get inside it, and that, you know, the door's not closed and you're locked outside or something like that. You need to make sure that you have easy access back into your body, or you'll be stuck like that. So it's a lot of fun. To me, that's the best way to word this show. It's a lot of fun. Joe Hill is incredibly creative storyteller, as I've always known from his books. I've loved reading them. And of course, Joe Hill is Stephen King's son. So, you know, this fantastic storytelling clearly runs in the family. And yeah, it's just a ton of fun. The cast is fantastic. There's some really great cameos, including one by Joe Hill himself at one point. Keep an eye out when there's an ambulance and an ambulance attendant says, you know, we got to get going or something to that, and closes the ambulance door. That's Joe. And those little cameos were fun to see. Again, the cast is just great. I did find sometimes that the kids, and this isn't them, they were all great actors, but some of the choices made by the kids in this series were a little questionable, and I was like, what? But then I said to my husband, I thought maybe this is like an accurate representation of choices teenagers would make, and it's being portrayed like that. Because, you know, it's been a while since I've been a teenager. Maybe these are the choices we used to make. Just things you're like, why are you doing that? But yeah, other than that, it's fun to get to watch them discover the keys, get them to see what the keys do, get to see it put into action. The story as well, it kept me on the edge of my seat. There were so many characters I was like, how is he involved? What's this gonna be? There's a fantastic villain. The actress who plays her she's just awesome. She's so good. At times I even found myself rooting for her. Like, the more you get to know her and what her motives are and what her intentions are, there are times when you're just like, maybe she should win. But of course, when it gets down to it, you're rooting for the family. But yeah, I definitely recommend that you check this out if it sounds like something you'd be interested in. But again, do know that it is family friendly entertainment, I would say. So it's not going to go to those dark places, which I love those dark places. I like shows that are darker and grittier and more intense. This isn't that, but it's still very fun to watch, and I enjoyed it a great deal. And yeah, I hope you do too. And if you do, if you've watched it, let me know in the description down below what you thought of it, and or let me know if you plan on watching it. It's fun. It's a fun show. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, why don't you subscribe? It's free. It helps me out. Like the video. And I will see you on Friday with another book talk. Bye, guys.